Good evening and welcome. Thumbs up if you can see the screen written examples of a simple case sheet so that I know that you see what I see and then we discuss from that point. Thank you, Gugu. And Vanish, thank you. So we will then proceed.
O feditse Fiona.
No, Bonazo, no.
Go tle ba re o batla go romela email.
Bonazo, no. We haven't finished yet. You are not getting any email from us. Just mute for now. Panatso, are you in?
Hello.
Yes, mute. You're not getting an email from us.
Okay, sorry about that.
Okay, so here we are. So we're looking at examples of a simple case sheet. Well, we can do this the boring way or we can do this the happy way. So the boring way is I'll take you through this and read it for you and say, hey, you see, my friends, inside this case sheet, there's this and this and this. I'm not interested. It's too late in the day for me to go the boring route. So we go the happy route. So what you need to do is make sure that at your office there is some form of client intake form. So you can get a client intake form. If you don't have one, plagiarize, copy and paste, use this one. Or better yet, make this one better. Add some things which work for your own law firm and the practice you work at. If you want to go one more step further, try using a client intake form on the app you're using. If you're using LexisNexis, they should have one. And of all the apps I've used, I found out the Americans had a nice one on my case. The problem with my case was it bills in US dollars. Therefore, imagine you booked this client an intake and you now send him an invoice and say, hi, Sipo. Thank you for attending the consultation. It was just 1 hour, Sipo, man. It is $2,500. Sipo falls from his chair. It's the most expensive consultation he will ever attend. So it was the deal breaker for me. I couldn't use it because it's a US base and it didn't have rands to change the things into rands. So you always explain to class, don't worry, remove the dollar and see it as rands, but still it created that anxiety. But if you want to test it out, I think they've got a trial version. You can test it out, especially their client intake form is very nice. So you can try others if possible. If you don't have an app you're using yet, find an app which you can use on a desktop, but also you can link it up to on your cell phone. It also makes things easier because you'll see that the idea behind administration is to help you navigate the admin work without hassle. It should be a breeze to do admin work at the office, and it must still deliver that situation where a client information is captured, the client information is available for the attorney, and everybody wants to use it. But it must not be a painful exercise doing it. It must be an easy breeze exercise. So looking on my screen, you can see that it's important the date. It's the date of instruction. So if you look, some people will write it a DOI on their cover page on the file in the office. Just make sure that you write down the date of instruction. The date of instruction is very important because it helps to sort out issues of prescription. Issues of prescription is when certain things expire, and especially if you're working around road accident fund, this becomes very serious. When you received a matter determines when you deal with it. For example, issues of urgency, you could always say, well, we received the matter on this date, and therefore we could have only actioned it from this date onwards. You need the details of the client name. And earlier we were talking in class and we said, well, you could always write Theophilus Kumalo. Those are his names, but if I were you, I would also write at the end in brackets, doctor. He's commonly known as Dr. Kumalo, but Theophilus is his other name. So if doctor is not his official name, it is what is always known as, you'd want to keep a name that a person would answer to. So how do you pick up this name? You pick up this name when later you will see when you need to get an interview, you talk to a person, the person will always say, and my brother called me and he said, doctor, do this. Then you say, oh, so your other name is doctor. Yes, you don't mind us calling doctor. No. Then write that name and put it in brackets at the end of names, so that client name, so that we could always refer to him with what he usually answers to. The ID number of a person helps with their date of birth and their age. So don't take down the ID number of a person. And the next thing, you also want to ask them their date of birth. You want to ask them their age. If you got an ID copy, you don't even need to ask them the ID number, because the ID copy will assist you with that. You can always fill those details later after the client has left. Telephone number of the client. In the olden days, I don't know if those olden days still exist, you needed an 011 number, an 012 number, 021 number of a client, 013, 031. These days, it's very important to get a cell phone number from your client, but also note that clients also do have 2 cell phone numbers at times. And make sure that when you are looking at a cell phone number, you also ask them, which one can I easily reach you on? That will probably be mostly these days a WhatsApp number. In the past, when new age attorneys started practicing and they said, let's contact the client on WhatsApp, and the old school attorneys went, no way, you cannot use social media to contact a client. Strangely, the very client sends you a WhatsApp and say, here's my email address, email it to me, and then WhatsApp me and tell me that you have sent it to me. So the same way emails replaced fax, you are going to start seeing WhatsApps replacing your ordinary means of communication. For example, even the telephone call now, if you call a client on a normal line, even on a normal cell phone number, at times you don't get them, but if you call them on their WhatsApp line, you find them. And if you are in Gauteng and other places, I think it will be the issue also of load shedding. When it's load shedding, the towers will switch off. And people would have fiber, and when they've got fiber, they are able to their phones will always be connected. If you make a WhatsApp call, you'll find that line. So always make sure that it's easy for us to find the client. That's the whole idea. Physical address of the client and the postal address of the client worked well, but the most important thing we are looking for today is the email address of a client. If possible, the email address also of their next of kin or their second email address. You find that the person has got an email address, sipo@onecore.co.za, but he also has got sipo@gmail. Try and make sure that you get the both. So then another thing about the physical addresses is you also need, for FICA reasons, somebody to give you their proof of residence. Once they give you the proof of residence, you'll be able to pick up the address from that proof of residence. But if the person is living emakhaya in the villages, always make sure that you verify close to what. So it should be close to a primary school or close to the shop or a spaza shop called. This is important in cases where you need to go and visit the client. So he calls and he tells you this is where he is. We visited one client in the farms and What had happened to him is he was a worker in they were building this in Joburg, these big buildings, and he fell from that scaffold thing, fell all the way down, and he hit the ground and he broke his spinal cord. So we have to assist him with his workman compensation. So you have to drive into the farms, but when he phones you, he simply gives you an address, but when you get there, your GPS gets lost. So it's like the GPS looks back at you and say, now where do we turn? And now you and the GPS have a problem. So you need to start asking people around, where do you find this place? So if you talk to the person, and most of the time when you go into those places, you'll find that even the cell phone signals are bad. So sort out the addresses while you still here, where you can get the signal, and then you'll be able to reach the client. So it's important that you don't only get the address as in letter writing address, but get the address as in easy location address, how to find that line if you have to drive there. The type of case, you and I discussed that a case can be a civil case or a criminal case. So when you want to bring a case, when a case is brought into the office, first start there. Start with, it's a criminal case, it's a civil case. Then you can take it further and say, for example, criminal cases, there are people who do criminal cases as to your murder and other things. I don't do those. If you bring criminal cases to my side, it will still be a criminal case, but it looks more like a business case. So I do commercial crimes. So when a person comes and say, I've been charged of fraud, corruption, and things, you'd probably find an attorney who does banking law, corporate law, contract law, somebody who understands transactions. If you take that case in your office and you give it, you call the attorney who deals with murder and robbery. Whereas that attorney might understand some of the things because he's an attorney, but he's not as agile as a banking lawyer would, or somebody who deals with transactions would. So when the matter arrives in the office, it's important for us to know what type of matter so that we can allocate it to the right person. So please write down what type of matter this is. Description and details of the client's problems. We say leave plenty of space. So if you're going to recreate this form, press enter, 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 and make the block bigger. I say if you cannot explain the problem in 5 sentences, then there's no problem. We all should go home. So when you're going to write down the details of what is the problem, try and keep it short and simple. If you keep it short and simple, we are able to assist the client. And of course, we are going to have a full-on consultation, as you're going to see at the bottom. Advice or suggestions given to a client. It's important for us to know what you said to the client. So the client has said things to you, but what did you say? You have a situation where Bonatsego says, don't worry, this is small waters, amanzi mancane, we'll solve the problem. If you said that to the client, please let us know so that we should manage expectations. There's no case that is small waters. All cases have got problems that are linked to them. One of the things we discussed in the morning was, what is the best advice I ever received from a principal when I was still doing articles? So the principal came and said, Mr. Pala, there's 2 things you must remember. He said, 1, you're some fancy lawyer, so you're worth 2,500 and above. I said, yes, thank you. I'm worth 2,500 and above. I accept. I always charge anybody 2,500 and above. It's always in my tongue per hour. So he got me started with that whole scope. But then he said, the next thing you need to learn, make sure that you do not trust any client. Ish, that one was not a thank you, sir. Hugs, hugs. It's a difficult one to figure out. Why should I help somebody I don't trust? The moral of the story is people will always tell you what they think makes them innocent. But what I want when I'm going to help you, I want you to tell me all the sordid details, because in somewhere in between, I'll find a defense. If you omit to tell me that you've got a house in Bahamas and we are on your case of fraud and corruption, the other problem is you would have to surrender your passport, and I would have to claim that you do not frequent any other country, and then your South Africa, it's your only domicile. And then the prosecution comes just after 2 appearances, and they say, oops, we found he's got a house in Bahamas. They knew all along, just bringing it 3rd appearance. Ish, my friend, we are staring down the barrel of bail revocation. And that it's a problem. That we must go find those other lawyers who deal with skip and donor type of legalities, and they come in and they rescue us, because us, we are more of the commercial lawyers who are doing criminal law. So those other ones, they come and say, okay, let's go see what to do. But why do we rescue things if we can prevent? Prevention is better than cure. So say to the client, you've got privilege. You need to tell the attorney everything so that the attorney can assist you better. Actions taken on behalf of the client, what have you done? Simple question, but it's an important question. What have you done to assist the client? But what have you also done further? For example, I've made 2 copies of the ID, and I've taken the client and I've dropped him off at the bus stop, and I came back. So you create an impression that you guys will drop off your clients at places at times. So again, as an attorney, I would have to manage those expectations. It's linked to the one at the top. What have you said? If you say to a client who came to do the road accident fund applications, everything is here, my brother. Thank you very much. When a document is missing, you have to get into the car and go fetch it. What have you done? So remember, the less you say during consultations, and we discussed this before, the better. Let the clients talk. Let the clients suggest. Do not make undertakings. It sounds like what a lawyer will tell you, but hey, this is what a lawyer is telling you. Do not make promises. I promise you, sir, we'll solve this problem. Please do not promise anything. It's important. What you say and what you do has got the legal practice council written all over it. So please avoid those situations. So, well, if you're going to look into writing the details of the problem, we say here, if you're going to take a statement, write down every detail, but I'm going to scroll down and show you what I mean. You see, on the example there, I say on 25 December 2010, John was in an accident between a motor car and a taxi. John was passenger in the taxi. So if you simply say on the 25th of December 2010, John was in an accident between a motor car and a taxi, and you leave it at that, I have a problem to know whether John was the driver or not, because I would have to be faced with a situation where was John negligent while he was driving, or was John just a passenger who can then claim from the negligence of a driver? John could have died on the 6th of January 2011. This sounds very redundant to say that he died from his injuries, because people die. John could have died from anything else. He could have died from suicide. He could have died from another accident which is not related to this one. He could have died from a robbery. Just John died, yes, but what's the story behind the death? You need to explain that. While I will not go through all of these, here's one trick you must figure. Use when did something happen, the first W. So when did something happen? On 20 December 2010. When did the other thing happen? 6 January 2011. When did the other thing happen? 7 January 2011. When? 20 January 2011. So the dates are important. If you look at any affidavit worth its salt, it is date written. It follows chronology, we call it. So if you're going to storify a thing and explain to me what really happened, there's a good saying that says something will tell. Write in the chat box what will tell. What is the saying? They say something will tell. What is that thing that tells? Only something will tell. What thing? That thing answers the question when. When you ask a person when, what do you expect them to tell you? Potato, what do you expect them to tell you? Exactly, ne? Date and time. Time will tell. It's very important. Only time will tell. Welcome, Lee. Hey, the class is officially on. Time remains the same, and the events are the ones that people will dispute. But people will not dispute that it happened on Monday. If it happened on Monday, it happened on Monday. The other thing that you would see is that if I'm putting something on I'm scrolling down now to get to a statement. If I'm putting something on a statement, somebody says, my name is Tanding Nkomo. I am 37 years old, female, living at number 52, Block H, Soshanguve, Gauteng. It is the same thing. I'm scrolling down again. Can you see it's almost the same thing on the affidavit? It means that the information you get for the second W, what? It's important. So you've got the two W's locked in. But Pandi is from a particular area, Block H, Soshanguve, Gauteng. So she is sorting the other W for us where? So the WWE of writing statements is very important. Always make sure that your statements, when you write them, they always answer those things. WWW. When, where, and what? That's all you're asking. But when you're taking again these statements, you also add another W. Who did it? What did they do? You are adding these W's to assist you to have a conversation. Your conversation, when you're taking a statement from a client, will always revolve around this. There's another one, but this one is not a W though. It's an H. How did it happen? So you see, you're asking these open questions so that somebody can give you the information. After you ask these questions, the person goes ahead and tell you, when did it happen? What happened? Where? Who? And how did the whole thing happen? And that helps us to write a statement, but this statement, we will later convert it into an affidavit. These types of questions are commonly known as open-ended questions. They allow another person to speak. So you ask them, you let them speak. And when they speak, they'll help you with the details. You'll see, we will not ask you to write an affidavit for a client if you work in a law firm. If we do, it will be in rare situations and probably in those cases which are just simple open shut, like they lost the document. So yeah, a lost document affidavit. It's easy, it's there, just copy and paste and do the same thing. But if a matter is going to be a serious matter of challenging something, denying something, opposing something, we will always sit with the client and we write the affidavits. For example, if you look at that affidavit on point 5, it says on 25 December 2010, John was traveling from work to our home by taxi. Now, that statement looks roundabout correct. But if it was the attorney writing that affidavit, they would have written what? On or about the 25th of December 2010, John was. Why do they write on or about? You want a situation where you had a typo instead of 8, you typed 5, and then you guys are in court, and there's a discussion about whether it was the 25th or the 28th. No, man. It was on about the 25th. How about he had an accident midnight? When did the accident really occur? On the 26th or on the 25th? Because the ambulance report, the medical report says he arrived at Kalafong Hospital 10 minutes past 1. And the accident report says, well, the police arrived there 10 to 12. So we sit and we argue around these things. On or about solves the problem. So when we draft, we are going to put those. But what I'm going to ask you to do when you take statements, the when must not only include the date, it must also include something. The actual time. Somebody wrote date and time. So it must actually include the day. It must also include the time. So it will say on or about the 25th of December 2010 at about 1200 hours, this is what happened. So it's important when facts get disputed at a later stage. Umran, we see you. Welcome. When you are going to advise the client as a paralegal, please do not advise the client. How do we say it? Do not give the client legal advice. We even say this to the candidate attorneys, especially a candidate attorney who's just about 6 months old or less. We say, do not give legal advice. It's very tempting, you sit in front of a client and you say, well, this reminds me of the case of so versus so, and I think your situation can be resolved. Remember what I said? The principal got me excited. He said, 2,500 for you. I said, yes. But secondly, he took me off the page. He says, never trust a client. Why? There's always information you must gather before you give an opinion. Do not rush to give opinions. The word that is there in your book, it's highlighted in black. It says, then you must listen to your client to find out exactly what he or she wants to do. You need to listen to the clients. You must not say, and he comes every night and he shouts when he gets into the house, and it makes me very uncomfortable and the children don't like it. Then you immediately say, yo, you must divorce that guy. Come, I show you how we do it. Maybe the lady does not want to get a divorce. All that she wants is to make sure that the guy smokes a little bit less. So we need to get him less smoking and probably take him to a psychiatrist so that he doesn't come shouting and dancing. He's not shouting at them, he's shouting and dancing after he had one puff or two. So just listen. It's not always what you hear. Listen. Make sure that you have all the information you need to solve the problem. We always say, don't resolve a case on the table. What does it mean? Don't resolve a case on the table. When a client comes in for consultations, don't give the solution. Tell them to go and you will call them. Why? Because at least you're going to think about it. You're going to research. You're going to analyze what they've said. And then you can find out if there's issues that you want to ask, get information from them, get information from other sources, and then you can deal with the issue. In the morning, we were saying, when you go do a consultation with a company, who do you talk to? Well, it makes sense. You'll talk to the guys at legal, talk to the CEO. Me, I'll ask for a cup of coffee. I will talk to the lady who brings the coffee. I'll talk to the reception. Yes, thank you. I'll talk to the receptionist. Those people, they know things. Talk to those ones. Because you now know what you're getting yourself into. If you talk to the CEO, he's going to tell you the beautiful story of why the client just doesn't want to pay them the contract. They won't tell you that they actually have a habit of supplying defective goods. The receptionist, we receive these types of calls, Mr. Pal. Yo, hi, what do I know? I'm just a receptionist. And you and the client go to court without this information. The client loses, they would have to pay your legal costs and the legal costs of the other attorneys. It's an ouch situation. So make sure that you talk to people in the offices who go into every office and hear everything. The tea ladies, the receptionists, everybody like that, they know these things. Hence, it helps to be multilingual. Speak to them in their own language. Then they will tell. When interviewing a client for the first time, the following needs to be kept in mind. In the morning, we said, well, in as much as we don't want to advertise the TV show, by now, if you do law, you would, well, you are right in the middle of the legal space. You would have watched a TV program, Suits. If you are brave, what other legal things have you watched on Netflix and it's Suits, with a nice at the end, yeah, something like that. What else have you watched? Type there on the chat group. Let's see if we have. Yeah, Law and Order. For me, it's too long, that Law and Order thing. But Law and Order, yeah. Yes. You see, Mona, me and you, same WhatsApp group. How to get away with murder. Who tell me you watch gory things? How to get away with murder. Yeah, we watched that one. There is. What is the other one you've watched, guys? There's one tradition like the Good Man. Yes. That's where I got Google the saying that says, explain to me as if I was a 4-year-old. I like that. I like doing that in court. It makes you look sophisticated. Check Bull. It's one of the, they used to have it on TV. Yes, the Lincoln Lawyer was also very nice. I loved watching it. Of course, it is TV. Those things that happen on TV don't really happen in real life. But the reason I'm bringing you into this is Bull has got something called a solutionist. What's that? When you sit with a client, you need to think a solution, not the problem. When a client walks into the office and say, they have deducted money from my account and I suspect they gave it to my ex-wife or to my wife, you're thinking, okay, this guy's got a maintenance order that is not being paid. And all that has happened is they went back to court and made sure that they've got an attachment order or something. And when it comes to you, you can either join the problem and say, how dare they? No, they can't do that. Or you can come with a solution and say, it's okay. Send me the payslip. Send me the details. Let me check out and the details of your HR department, and then I'll go and speak to somebody at your HR department. And you start realizing that there's court orders that were doing the rounds. Then you are sitting in the middle of a review of a maintenance order. That's the solution, really. Lamenting is not. So somehow you will learn that solutionist thinking makes you to be more calmer in how you think and approach the world. So take this new concept, always think solutions. When people come and they vent and they vent and they vent, practice with people around you, listen to people in the taxi. This country is corrupt. The corruption, the corruption, the corruption. Think solution, 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 solution. How about if everybody was employed? How about if everybody was an entrepreneur? How about if everybody went to school? How about if everybody really took the 350 and paid UNISA and got themselves a student number? How about, how about, how about, how about? And solutionist thinking brings you there. It says, I see the problem, but I think there must be a solution somewhere. You learn this when you do legal philosophy. At some point, I will assist you with legal philosophy so that you can understand the principle around legal philosophy. I don't know this if this occurred while we were in class or after we were out of class. You've now realized that this Steinhoff boss shot himself. What is his name? Somebody down the chat group, if you... Yes, Marcus Tuesday has shot himself. He thought it was a solution. So he needed a lawyer like you, ne? Solution is thinking. Don't ask me what I would have done to make sure that he enjoys this and live longer. Hi. I will start billing that 2.5 on you. But there was a better solution that he should have called a solutionist lawyer. There is a solution to his problems. Putting the gun on his head was not one of those solutions. It was a bad idea. Anyway, so it makes you realize that what you do with clients. You've got this client who, I had one like that. You've got this client, his girlfriend slash wife slash partner kicks him out of the house she bought, and she denies him the right to see the children. And he tries very hard to see the children. Oh, but the lady, he gets frustrated. He's even thinking of buying a gun. If your solution is, yeah, Mara, that lady's crazy, my brother. How can she? He will shoot the woman. Right now, forget lawyering, eh? Find a colleague in your office who is very good and soft-spoken. In my office, we have Mr. Quinda. So what we then do, I call Mr. Quinda and I say, Mr. Quinda, there's a client here that needs you. And then I say to the client, you need to consult with Mr. Quinda. He is a specialist in handling these family law matters. He's quite good at it. The important thing we need is not the lawyering. We need the personality. Let me give you another line so that you can see the difference then. Think of this line. One of the attorneys we have is a very calm lady, Temi. She's a conveyancer. Conveyancers don't do crazy stuff. They are calm people. So she calls and say, hey, a friend of mine, X says that she is divorcing. She has divorced with the husband about 8 years ago, but the divorce was not finalized in courts because they were married customarily, and then the ex's husband wanted half the house. They gave ex's husband half the house, and X cannot stayed away. But now all of a sudden he comes back again. He says that they are still married. Okay, while the Mr. Quinta situation worked very well with the gun and the gentleman, with the situation of X is being hounded by the attorneys of his estranged husband. They are forcing her to come to the office to sign some papers that will confirm the marriage. What kind of lawyer are you looking for now? Yeah, no, you look for the crazy one. So you called me. Immediately, you know what's going to happen. There will be a lawyer and say, we represent X. Our client's rights are strictly reserved. We do not want to litigate by letter, but any action your client will take will be vehemently defended with cost. Then we send the letter. That's all. So you know, they say in Gauteng, then isugile. So there are lawyers like that who are very confrontational, and you need them. If you watch Suits, they are more like Harvey. Yeah, so hey, these ones, when they speak, they go tweet, tweet, tweet. Yeah, they get things moving right along. At least I don't do the tweet, tweet, tweets. I cleaned up the language. But then again, you have lawyers who do that. But you've got calmer lawyers. So when you work in the office and you're collecting this information, you're going to give to the attorneys in your firm. At the back of your mind, in trying to find a solution, think what kind of an attorney would help this client. You don't always need a bulldog lawyer. Sometimes you need calmer attorneys to help in a situation. And sometimes you need something in between. You need your Mr. Malemani type, the academics. So they'll research and they'll come up with the process to be followed. So they follow the calm way about it. In this instance, you might find that that situation works. So when you are going to take information, solutions applicable to the inquiry are indicated. You need to advise the client on further steps to be taken or that no further action is necessary. To refer the client to an agency suitable to deal with his or her inquiry, sometimes you don't need to to help the client yourself. Perhaps it's a person who's facing a criminal matter, which you must simply take them to legal aid. To act on the instruction of the client, you must do it speedily. You refer the client to the appropriate lawyer, as I have been saying. So these are the things that are appropriate, and I've put for you examples there. And me have been doing all the talking of the examples in class. But the most important thing is for you to go through these examples. They're more refined in the book. And think of what I've been discussing with you and say, what is the best approach to assist a client? And you can see our discussion started with a form. Just basic information. But when you're completing the form, you know that the next step, you need to take the statement. When you're taking the statement, you want to follow the WWWH so that it will assist the attorney to draft an affidavit. You must find the right information, the right people, the right attorneys to assist. And I've given you examples of how you get the lawyers who are very aggressive, but how you get the calmer lawyers, how you get lawyers who deal with specific matters, but how you get lawyers who deal with certain types of matters. They are not the same. The conveyancers will deal with property law, and they are more your people's person and the numbers people. And you get criminal lawyers are more of your violent guys. They move things and they go with defending the client. But you also get family lawyers, the Mr. Quindas who do deceased estates and all of those. They're more calmer people and how they approach the world. When you are a candidate attorney, when you are a paralegal, we expect you in between to assist us to help with this. Example number 2, Mr. B comes to you to assist him in opening a bank account to receive his monthly pension payout. This monthly pension will be approximately 1,500 per month. You can advise him to go to any bank or to Post Bank to open the Mzansi bank account and tell him to give details of his account to his pension fund. Now, what in your chat box, what type of a lawyer would you get to assist Mr. B? If you had 3 types of lawyers: 1, a corporate lawyer who deals with big corporate firms, a family lawyer, or a criminal lawyer who deals with hard crimes. Which one would you recommend and why? You can write there in the chat group. So you've got 3 types of lawyers. You've got a criminal lawyer who deals with hard legal matters. You've got a corporate lawyer who deals with sophisticated corporate matters, contracts and mergers and acquisitions, and a family lawyer who in your office. Which one would you choose and why would you choose a family lawyer in this situation? Is I can see some Tineke says I'm choosing a family lawyer. There must be some reason. Somebody who says I'll choose a corporate lawyer, give me your reasons. Why would you choose a corporate lawyer? Renee says I would choose a corporate lawyer. Well, Tineke says I'll choose it's more of a moral case. It's more of your domestic issues. And Vanesh, why would you choose a corporate lawyer? Terms and conditions apply. This is in the classroom. Please don't try this at home. Don't bring such a client to me. It won't help. I don't have time to sit down and babysit that client through the bank accounts. I will send him to the candidate attorney before you say candidate. So corporate lawyers won't be very helpful. Hey? Yeah, family lawyers are nice. Take him to Mr. Quinda. So, oh, okay. Do you have the banking account? Do you have the phone number for FNB? Oh, let me call the guys at FNB. Do you prefer Absa? Yo, me. Hi. Ngachona kuku. Hi. Kusiyami. Imagine. Family lawyers are nicer. They'll help. Jonita, yes. Woo, just imagine. Yo, I can even feel it in my bones. I was about the situation. So you need to pick the right kind of lawyer. You can see, as a paralegal, you help us function. Imagine if you send him to that corporate lawyer who always deal with high profile situations, and I say to him, hey, no, say, wait, let me call somebody. And then I call Malimani to help. And the person feels like Mr. Para doesn't want to help me. He's now farming me out to another person. But if you call Mr. Kwenda, he's really talking to the right person and the person will help him. So it's very important. So you need to choose the type of lawyers to be working with. There are different agencies where you need to refer clients to. Please, if it's children, those of you who work around the children's spaces, is NICRO still functioning? I think they used to have NICRO where it used to deal with juveniles and young people. If it's situations of homes and houses, they need to go to the community schemes ombudsman. That's CISOs, or at least I deal with those. If they are dealing with the banking issues, they need to go to the banking ombudsman. If the situation is not as litigious as it should be, it's not your corporate or complicated banking issue. It's just a complaint that they want to raise with the bank, and that the person at the bank was not nice to me. They shouted at me. That they can go to the ombudsman instead of taking it to court. Yes, Vanisha, you say they'll be able to give that client, the corporate lawyers will all be able to give their clients more advice on finance. Yeah, with me, what I will do is I'll simply say to him, Google FNB, find a banker. Or better yet, I'll call my banker and say, talk to this client, brah. Hey. So if an issue said that would help, I would do that. I would not really sit down and advise unless if it's a complicated banking situation. To act on instructions of the client, I'm going to take you through this in the next 5 minutes. Acting on the instruction of the clients, I see what they have written there. This is what it's important with me. Oh, Innocentia, you should have said, I've got Lianke here, she would have Bluetooth you data, You said, Mr. Palami, data. Okay, as long as you're sorted, Innocentia, that will be great. Now, to action the instructions of a client is do it fast. That's me to you. Do not sit with a problem. You guys, inside stories. You have a client whose car is repossessed because the paralegal didn't send an email. For you to go get a car back, it's not easy. Please, if the principal says, can you send the email to this person? Please take it seriously and send that email. Even if that email is to say, hi, Mr. Jacobs. The attorney said I must send you an email. I'll send you an email later. Send. At least it's something. If you are asked to do something, please do it immediately. In law, it's important. When we started, I've typed up a whole soap opera at the top about Rule 19 that says time is important to run law firms. Please make sure that you action things on time. Refer people to the right lawyers. We have discussed this a lot. Information or support which may assist the client is identified. Just make sure that if there's further information you need, get the details of the client and communicate with the client. It's important when you're communicating with the client that you keep it professional. You can communicate with the clients, at least on our law firm, at our law firm, using WhatsApp. So to make it easier for candidate attorneys, paralegals, and young practitioners who arrive, we connect WhatsApp on a computer. Now we get to type the WhatsApp. For some reason, when you type it on the phone, it is more social. But when you type it on the computer with the actual keyboard, you become conscious. Or maybe it's that we spend too much time on our computers typing formal letters and on our WhatsApp typing informal communication. So do it on a computer. It's your brain starts to think professionally. But if your fingers, on the other hand, I don't trust those thumbs. They'll go wild on this thing. And the next thing you know, the client is offended. So the computers are nice. They go, dear ma'am, please remember to email me the copy of the ID. See? Fingers, send me a copy, please. Same information. But how they receive it, very different. The more you practice on a computer, you'll easily revert back to using your cell phone. For some reason, I have developed drafting on a cell phone first and then move it to a computer and then refine the draft further. So if you're sitting with me or looking at me working, you say, but this guy spends so much time on his cell phone. No, sometimes there are those kind of phones, and we are not going to say on the chat box, Shimona, what type of phones they are. Those types of phones, they speak to your computer. We will call it a computer for now because we don't want to mention fruits here. They speak to your, how do you call that other thingy? To your tablet, because we don't want to mention anything. So those three things, they speak to each other. So what you type on this one thing, you can see it on this other thing, and then you see it on this other thing. And then you have all these discussions on Note. Move them to Note to Microsoft Word. There you are, Bob's your uncle. Then you've actually started the draft. Mara, if you are on Android, you are on your own. Ladies and gentlemen, that completes the lesson for the day. Any questions on your side? Yeah, you can, but please do not send it out. Draft it. Learn how to draft it, but give it to the attorney to finalize it, please. Because please avoid this problem of being vague and embarrassing. They must disclose the course of action. You already hear the language that is being used around the place. Just make sure, ne? I will arrange with IPID and see if they will allow me to upload a part of the IPID book so that you can actually see how to draft or whatever we're drafting on it.
Good day, Mr. Kala. How are you?
I'm all right.
I'm good. I want to ask something
Yes.
with regards to WhatsApp.
Yes.
So are you saying terminating a client using WhatsApp because they do not have an email is also formal?
It's not formal if you are not talking to a cyber lawyer. You know what is a cyber lawyer? Those lawyers who done cyber law. There's a provision in there that says all electronic communication are as formal as they get. So please, anything you do, even on WhatsApp, it's formal, including If you say, hi, we will charge your consultation of 500 rands. You said it on WhatsApp. The client is entitled to 500 rands per hour consultation.
Noted. Thank you.
Treat WhatsApp communications as formal, especially WhatsApps. They will print them. I've seen these in court. They print them and then they attach the whole thing. All right. Anybody else? We've got about 60 seconds. Going once, going twice. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming. We will hear from you on Thursday. If you're traveling, stand by the pad style and connect. And people will say, wow, look at that person attending school at a pad style. Cheers.